Get Out today.
Get out.
Get out of
No,
here.
you didn't.
I did.
Ah! What is it?
Jordan Peele's from Key and Peele, the celebrated American comedian writers and actors sketch show of Peele. Very, very smart, very funny guys. They both were in the film Keanu last year together, which was a funny comedy. Had a cat named after Keanu Reeves, obviously, which I liked. Who in a vision at the end spoke with Keanu Reeves. I'm going off on a tangent. Get Out is off the fucking chain.
Get out.
This is, if not the best film of the year so far, in the running. Like, I'm talking top one.
Mate, that's a big shout.
This film is ridiculously good. It is everything I look for in a horror, in a film, anything. This is Jordan Peele's first film as well. He has executed something so deftly and smartly with so much wit and, just confidence that it's very, very rare to see. You'll have, this is harkening on to something I'm going to be talking about later, which is in terms of, first outings for a band that know their first go, but let's not jump ahead of the gun. Basically, I always go on. This is really, it feels like a bit of a vindication. I always go on about how horror films are the best medium, the best genre for allegory and for discussion. And you can discuss really interesting themes and, polemics and social and cultural disconnects and so on in a very accessible, in a frightening way, in a way that, you don't have to have an argument rammed down your throat to be able to, to get it.
Yes.
You don't have to have something that's worthy and Oscar baiting to get what the filmmaker's trying to say and do. Basically, it's about a young African American dude called what's his name? It's Chris, isn't it?
Harry Potter.
Played by our own British Daniel Kaluuya, who you will have seen off. He's been on TV and things like that.
I think he was in Black Mirror. Yeah, that's right.
I think he was in Black Mirror as well. That's where I recognise him from. He is excellent. You wouldn't even know that. He's got the accent work down, but that's beside the point. There is an interesting. Well, there was a pseudo argument going on about Samuel L. Jackson, who does praise the film, says something. Who's always been very queued up on on modern racial relations and things like that. He has an argument that it should have been an actual African American actor as opposed to a black British actor, which is, there's a John Boyega, star of Force Awakens and Attack the Block and stuff, had something to say. He disagreed with that quite vehemently, and he says it's an argument that doesn't need to happen, because Samuel L. Jackson's point is this is about American racism as opposed to British racism. I don't care about that. Daniel Kaluuya is brilliant in this film. He's absolutely sterling, and it's about him, his character, with this nice, well-to-do, very, very attractive girlfriend who he's going to be going to visit her family for the first time. In they're out they live in the
sticks,
in the outer lands, in lovely upper middle class mansion, very progressive, liberal, upper middle class guys. She, within the first minute, goes. After saying this, he asks, look, do they know I'm black? And she's like, in her super progressive, liberal way, goes, why should they? Why would that matter? And he's just like, well, I just thought it's. And
she's seen the trailer for this.
Yeah. And she says, well, look, my dad is he's so not racist. He would have voted for Obama for a third term if he could have. And then true to this, in the first minute of him meeting with dad takes him aside and it's like, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. It's this really passive, understated forms of liberal racism that are kind of insidious in our society and so on, that are expressed so well in this kind of very understated, very uncomfortable, the way the dad kind of culturally appropriates his language, starts saying things like my man and this thing and stuff like that, which is this wonderfully, you can see it. It's so understandable and relatable, but kind of uncomfortable, and that sets the stage for something much more sinister. If you've seen Stepford Wives, it's doing something similar to that, but with race relations as opposed to to gender relations and the matriarchal patriarchal society. This is doing something with very, very contemporary racial issues, but in a very, very undercutting way, in a way that isn't overtly, this is what racism is. It's much, much smarter than that. And it's doing that in the framework of just a bare bones, perfectly executed thriller. Like, there are these other black characters that are the groundskeeper and the maid and the
right.
They seem, something's very off about them. They I don't want to give anything away. There's something going on behind the scenes. They are not acting ordinarily. In this, hypnosis comes into play. The father's a neurosurgeon. The mother's a psychologist and therapist who deals in hypnosis. So,
Right,
psychological aspects come into play. And I don't want to give anything about where it goes, but things aren't quite as they seem. And once it kicks into gear, it is a proper, balls to the wall, nail biting thriller. And it's done so well, so smartly, with so much wit, conviction. I just haven't seen anything quite this good within this realm.
Wow.
Well, at least all year. I mean, there was some good thrillers, horror films last year, but and it doesn't skimp on any of the genre trappings. You've got gore, you've got the death, you've got, jump scares. It's not above being an all-out horror film at all. It's, it's as much a horror on the kind of superficial, visceral levels as it is on the kind of social satire and the horror of this kind of, this insidious racial polemic that Jordan Peele's delivering. It's not, it doesn't have any ideas above its station. It knows what it's doing and it does it just perfectly. And there are turns, and by the end, I'm going to wait a bit, but there's some really, really smart, really, really brave allusions to very big, very, very topical questions and debates that are done with wit and with humor and subtly, and none of it's, well, I don't know, I don't want to say anything else, but there are people, the way characters and stuff turn out, and the way they're kind of, as a director, Jordan Peele, it shows, cinematic muscles that you would expect to only be on display from a seasoned horror veteran. But he does things, the way he turns characters, the way he manipulates them, the way the camera looks at them from the beginning of the film to the end of the film is masterful, and it just fucking works. It nails it. It's like I say, it's in a year that we've had already, obviously, all the Oscar contenders: Moonlight, Silence. I saw Hidden Figures the other day, which was fab. La La Land, everything, Hacksaw Ridge, whatever you want to lump in. This is by a mile my favorite film. Like, I've had this is my kind of shit, man. It's
That's your shit. See, for me, I'm not down with that whole horror side of things.
Horror thrillers, yeah.
I didn't see the point of it.
Yeah.
Maybe I do need a film like this that you're saying is just like,
this is doing something. It hits the nail on the head. It's doing something interesting. It's got an argument. It's got a perspective that it's dealing with, and it's dealing with in a really interesting way. You don't see, genre films. Genre films are always dealing with stuff, but that tackle a subject so deftly and so, so incisively. It's so, because it's not about overt racism. It's something that has to be dealt with a very light touch and with an understanding touch. But then it also hits heavy when it needs to.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely perfectly balanced film. And I think, if it's an early contender for one of the films of the year. I mean, if this isn't in my top 10 of the year, by the end, I will be flabbergasted.
It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, this is a really, really solid film. And if I'm not going to give it a 9, I don't really give out 10s. But if we're on a out of 5 star, I'm going to give it a 5. If I'm going to give it
Yes.
out of 10, I'm going to give it a 9, just because that perhaps, it's loosely. I'd have to nitpick to find faults with this film, and maybe there's things in the kind of. I don't want to go into it. I don't want to go into any of the nitty gritty, because I don't want to detract from a film. I think pretty much just hits the nail on the head. Secondly, it would be mindly spoilery, and I don't want to take away the surprise
Don't do
of
it.
anything. And it's just fucking excellent.
It sounds like I actually need to go watch it and discover the world of horror thriller.
It's an enjoyable film. It's funny. It's really funny in points. He's got a friend, Rod, who's a TSA, like a terrorist, works at an airport as
Yes.
terrorist prevention kind of thing. And he's a kind of fat comedy character, but that has some of the biggest laughs I've seen in any film of the year. Like, it's one of the funniest films I've seen in a long time, but also one of the kind of the most astute and intelligent. And yeah, his cat, you will love his, I don't want to spoil the gags. I don't want to spoil the scares. I don't want to spoil where it goes, but it's really fun, as well as being tense and twisty turny. And God, there's some things in it. I would like you to see it, because then I think we can do a kind of. There's a lot to get into in the final third, but it's mental and great.
Okay, I'll make an effort to try and fit some time in to see it.
I think you should.
I think
Okay.
I should.
So it's a fucking great film. Everyone should see it, honestly.
Definitely with that rating, I reckon everyone needs to see it.
I've got to talk about this.